Jarhead the movie. Wars that are never fought. Let's go.
It was shortly after meeting drill instructor Fitch that I realized that joining the Marine Corps might have been a bad decision.
All right, Comfort Brains. Show me exactly where your skivvies and running shoes go.
Sir, the recruit can't think while the drill instructor is hitting him on his head, sir!
You can't think while I'm giving you a few love taps? How the fuck are you going to fire your rifle when grenades are going off in your face? What the fuck are you even doing here?
Sir, I got lost on the way to college, sir!
That part of Jarhead was very typical when I was in boot camp. For you guys that were in at a similar time, I'm sure you experienced that. So this part was very accurate. Now you're compressing a lot of events into an hour-and-a-half movie, but that's Hollywood.
Essential to analyze Jarhead within the context of Full Metal Jacket, because of its similarities, but even more because of its differences.
I mean, not a lot changed in the boot camp scenes. Now, the war scenes being completely different just because the military at that point, during Jarhead, were all volunteers. In Vietnam, you had draftees. So you figure it's only about a 20-year period that this happened. A little bit longer than 20, but in my experience, Full Metal Jacket was very accurate with respect to Gunnery Sergeant Hartman.
Now Jarhead's reviews upon release were quite mixed and many were even negative. The recruits are broken down in the films, both through verbal assaults.
Do you have a girlfriend, Swafford?
Sir!
I wouldn't call that verbal assaults. I'd call that Marine Corps boot camp. Now, you can have a war movie without a battle being fought, right? There's a lot more to tell in a story about what a soldier goes through in the military, deployed under harm's way. It could be as simple as what Jarhead employs, or it can be a full-fledged combat scene. But what you're seeing is a relationship between the soldiers.
Sir! Guess again, motherfucker. Jody's banging her right now. Get on your face and give me 25 for every time she gets fucked this month. Down on your face!
And through physical training.
Quickly! Get your fat ass over there, Private Pile. Oh, that's right, Private Pile. Up so you can get up there. Cut and shoot.
Jarhead resembled.
I've seen some pretty shitty recruits in boot camp, never Private Pile-ish. And the scene in Jarhead where they're low crawling under the barbed wire and the guy's laying loose on the 60 with live rounds, that's never going to happen. That's made for movies. And if it did, a guy's going to know there's live rounds going over my head. I'm not going to stand up. That was just total fiction.
This process closely towards what is shown in Full Metal Jacket. From the verbal assaults and equal wordlessness without racism speech.
There is no racial bigotry here.
Again with the verbal assaults. It's just part of boot camp, Einstein. There is no verbal assaults. This is what you signed up for when you go. Everybody knows that.
I do not look down on niggers, kites, wops, or greasers. Here you are all equally worthless.
You are no longer black, or brown, or yellow, or red. You are now green.
To the glorification of...
I heard both of those lines. Light green, dark green, you're all equally worthless. They got that point hammered home pretty quick. And my drill instructors were disproportionately minorities. So there's more minorities represented in my experience in the military than in society. So I didn't see any issues there. But they do make a point to tell you you're all a bunch of crap, basically.
Marine marksmanship and reshaping of Marines into cold, hard killers.
The Marine Corps does not want robots. The Marine Corps wants killers. The Marine Corps wants to build indestructible men.
We're gonna kick some Iraqi ass, sir!
Oh, hell, son. What, are you gonna win the Medal of Honor all by yourself? What's the rest of my battalion gonna do?
Kick some Iraqi ass!
You know, I think it's time for me to retire. I can't hear a fucking thing!
Kick some Iraqi ass!
Oh, boys, I just got a heart on.
During the first Gulf War, if you look this up, you had a lot of officers, weren't necessarily flag officers, but battalion commanders that did not go to Vietnam because they were too young. This was their first real war, right? So they hadn't seen much action, so you've got a lot of guys that really want to get at something. They want something on their resume. And we had the same thing in 2001 and 2. So take a look at that. It's very interesting if you like history.
Yet, it is in the second part where Jarhead quickly starts to differ from expectations.
Suggested techniques for the Marine to use in the avoidance of boredom and loneliness. Masturbation. Further masturbation.
It is here where the central theme of Jarhead slowly becomes apparent. While Fullmetal Jacket is critical of the Marine Corps and the war, the Marines, when in full combat in Vietnam, are functioning. Even when chaos arises in the heat of battle, they prevail and return back to order. However, in Jarhead, the second part of the movie is a long and grueling process of waiting, boredom, and living in the desert without any contact with the outside world.
And this is pretty practical. That's realistic, in my experience. You guys chime in. What has your experience been with this? But the military, the part people miss in these war movies, is the hurry up and wait. So Jarhead, to me, resonated pretty true. Now, some of the antics these guys pull and not keeping the platoon busy through the platoon sergeant, that's a little off. But the part about they're bored, the hurry up and wait, the bureaucracy, that's standard stuff. Dear John letters.
What? Don't worry, she will be. She'll be right there. She's gonna look beautiful up there.
The Marines aimlessly patrol the desert in horrible oil fields, get bombed by mortars but never see the enemy shattered. Before the Marines leave, the film shows them getting riled up with the perspective of the glorious ride of the Valkyries scene in Apocalypse Now, shaping their view of what their war will be like.
Nobody's going to watch a movie of hurry up and wait for 2 hours. I get it. That's why Jarhead had a lot of things in it that were very on point. Apocalypse Now, completely different time frame, completely different story. I think both serve a purpose. Which one do you guys like better, and why do you like it better? Put that in the comments.
2-7 are to report immediately to your company area. Get some, Marines! Get some!
Look around. You hear those planes? This war's gonna move too fast for us. All right, we can shoot 1,000 yards. To go that far in Vietnam, that'll take a week. World War I, a year. Here, it's gonna take about 10 fucking seconds. By the time we have our rifles dialed, the war's gonna be a mile down the road. Wake up!
But besides,
those kind of guys you just want to strangle. Complain, complain, complain. You go there, you do what you're told, you don't complain about it the whole time. That makes it miserable. I like his character, but I hate those type of guys. You ever work with those?
The technological reality of the war, the more important statement the film makes is on the psychological impact of being in the war, or in this case, not being in the war. In a sense, being broken down and then rebuilt as supposed cold-hard-killing Marines in a Marine Corps boot camp, but unable to apply this mindset and acquired skills. When a fellow Marine gets him into trouble, Swafford breaks down completely.
Shut the fuck up! Shut the fuck up! Shut the fuck up and repeat after me!
Without me,
This is my rifle! There are many like it! Without me, my rifle is nothing! Fucking say it! Repeat after me! Repeat after me! Without my rifle, I am nothing! I am nothing!
I am nothing! I am nothing!
The Dear John letters happen. That's going to happen whether you're on deployment, on a MEU, or over in the desert. This part where he's got the M16 up into the guy's forehead, I've never seen any kind of antics like this, but I get it. The guy's pissed off. Shit's not going the way he planned. All right.
Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. Fucking shoot me. Fucking shoot me. Shoot me in the fucking face. You fucking see how hard it is. You shoot me in the fucking face. You fucking faggot. Bradley fucking fire. Shoot me, you fucking pussy.
And finally, when Swafford...
I've never seen anybody the mental breakdown like that. You get bored, yes. You want to do different things, yes. That whole antics, no. Now, what they're trying to show, I think, is the stress, which is true in there, but nothing like that shit.
You are way out of line, Corporal.
Yeah, this would never
What
happen.
difference does it make?
him back the hands.
If it doesn't make a fucking difference, why the fuck do you have to do it?
Because we have the goddamn shots. That's why we're here.
Give it a fucking hand.
Fucking stop! Fucking stop! Stop it! You don't know what we go through. It is the town.
I don't know why you'd have. I think that officer's supposed to be a lieutenant colonel or a colonel. Why he would be there. And this guy wouldn't, this spotter, this whole antics about the kill, it's not going to happen. No one wants to get burned. Now, is a guy an emotional mess? I'm sure he is. I'm sure the emotions are true in the movie. I can appreciate that. But these scenes just seem so far-fetched.
Let go of me. Just fucking let go of me. I'm trying to... I'm trying to...
Wow.
The film shows us how the awful experiences of this war are completely different than from other wars. This paradox becomes the central theme and is summed up in the film in one sentence.
Every war is different.
Hoorah.
Every war is the same.
Now, for those of you that remember, there was a lot of fanfare, parades, playing cards. The guys that were there, you didn't see much of it. It kind of filtered through later. So I think this was the first war that we'd had in a while. You know, we had Vietnam that was a stain in society's eyes. This one was quick, in and out. Everybody liked it. Now, that didn't mean the Marines felt the same or saw the same. What'd you guys experience?
Davenports and kettle drums, swallowtail coats.
Now, having memories back to what could have been, what was, whether it's Jarhead or whether it's you were in for 5 years, did nothing. You're going to have those memories unless you keep yourself busy and have a good transition plan. This stuff's going to come up. That's just the reality of the military. If you're new to the channel, thanks for stopping by. For my current subscribers, I appreciate you. Thanks for watching.